Ventilators are extraordinary machines. They are used to sustain life, and at the same time, reports a breadth of information if something goes wrong for us to troubleshoot. The problem with this is, are we able to understand what the screen is telling us? Come with us and explore this interesting topic of ventilator waveform analysis. This is Mastering Anesthesia, so let's go.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Mastering Anesthesia. Today we're going to talk about a crucial topic in anesthesia, ventilator waveform analysis. We start by understanding the basic functions of a ventilator or anesthesia machine. If we break down ventilator to its most basic function, they receive medical gases from a gas supply, whether from a cylinder or central source, then controls the flow and reduces the pressure of gases to a desired level. These gases will then be delivered to a patient. So on a basic level, this is what ventilators do. So if you want to summarize the functions of a ventilator as a list, you have number 1, deliver flow, number 2, regulating pressure, and number 3, it serves as a complex measurement device where a monitor inside the ventilator or anesthesia machine reports the behavior of the respiratory system it is connected to. So drawing a simple schematic diagram depicting functions of a ventilator, you have a gas supply supplying gases to a ventilator, and the ventilator is connected to the patient. So data from the patient's breath is received by the ventilator, processed by the ventilator, and displayed by the monitor on the ventilator. Ventilators have powerful computer inside its system because huge amount of data are collected from each breath of patients. So these ventilators, equipped with its powerful computer, interpret every breath into numbers and graphs, and these graphs are depicted as variable over time. Alright, so when we're talking about variables over time, we are referring to the pressure, the flow, and the volume over time. These three components show substantial amount of data of what the ventilator is giving to the patient and how the patient's respiratory system responds to the gases supplied by the ventilator. Alright, so these graphs are not like ECG or EEG where it is standardized. Many ventilators have many ways of displaying graphs of pressure, flow, and volume over time. Okay, so what is standardized in the ventilator waveform is the shape of the waveforms. Okay, so different machines will tell you the same shape, and we can interpret it the same way from different machines. But the color scheme, however, and waveform arrangement, these two are not standardized in different machines. So they are completely up to the company's preference on how to display them. Okay, so now that we've covered the basic, let's get into the waveform. So we're going to dissect the anatomy of different waveforms and what it tells you. So our discussion is based on a typical or default arrangement of pressure followed by flow and followed by volume analysis over time. And for our discussion, we'll take an example from a circuit with a constant flow, such as volume control ventilation. Why so? Because the waveform will reflect the change in pressure over time. These changes in pressure in constant flow circuits like volume control ventilation will show you a lot of nuances, a lot of small changes in the waveform that we can dissect it and put names to it and analyze it further. So here we have it. We have here the waveform of pressure, flow, and volume. Let me write this down, okay? You have the pressure waveform, you have the flow waveform, and the volume waveform. And these are all variables against time. So when we say we're giving constant flow type of ventilation, in this case volume control ventilation, let's look at the flow waveform. Alright, so we have a square flow waveform, meaning that when we are giving flow, we are giving it at the same rate. So if it's 10 liters per minute, so we're giving 10 liters per minute during this inspiration it remains static at 10 liters per minute. And this is a volume control ventilation, meaning that volume is predetermined by us. And what will change is the pressure. Pressure will change according to how the respiratory system, the lungs respond to the flow that we give. So remember, when we are giving a volume as a set determinant, the flow will be constant, and what we monitor is we monitor through the changes reflected by the pressure waveform. So our focus now is on the pressure waveform. Right, so let's look at the pressure waveform. It's interesting because we can see different peaks in a single waveform. Let's start with the baseline value here that we see above 0, that is PEEP, or positive end expiratory pressure. So when we put PEEP, the pressure will never return to 0 because at the end of expiration, we are applying a positive end expiratory pressure. This is important to avoid atelectasis or lung collapse at the end of expiration. So it will be reflected on this pressure waveform. So if you put PEEP of 8, the PEEP value here will be 8 above 0. If you put PEEP of 5, so then the pressure waveform will end at 5. It will not return to 0. Okay then, the tallest peak here refers to the peak pressure, and this plateau part of the curve is the plateau pressure. These are not just random peaks, they tell you a lot of things about different things in your lungs. Alright, so the height of plateau pressure will tell you the alveolar pressure, which is the pressure of air inside the alveoli of the lungs. Okay, so this alveolar pressure will indirectly gives you an idea of the compliance of the lung. So if the plateau pressure is high, meaning that higher pressure needed to expand the lung, and it tells you that the lung is stiff and it needs higher pressure to expand. A very, very important detail that needs to be highlighted in plateau pressure is that plateau pressure is unrelated to flow. It is purely the pressure in the lungs from insufflation with a controlled volume that we have preset. So plateau pressure can only be obtained when flow is cut off. That is when we perform an inspiratory hold. By then, the pressure has equilibrated with all the different alveoli with different time constants. So the pressure that is reflected is the plateau pressure, or the pressure that is present in the alveoli. Okay, next we can see this peak pressure, which is the highest peak in the pressure waveform. So this peak pressure, or P peak, is the pressure due to the sum of airway pressure and alveolar pressure, including PEEP. So in peak pressure, I mentioned airway pressure. This airway pressure is it's obtained by the difference between peak pressure and plateau pressure. This airway pressure is due to the resistance of the airways, including the ETT, the HME, the trachea, the bronchi, and the bronchioles. Okay, so they are only present while flow is occurring. So when flow stops, airway resistance immediately drops to 0. So this airway pressure, we can estimate the value from the difference between peak pressure and plateau pressure. Okay, in flow waveform, the positive value waveform is the peak inspiratory flow, followed by peak expiratory flow in the negative waveform. In the middle, there is a plateau at 0. That means there is no flow. Here is where the inspiratory pause happens. I will get into the details in the next section. The last waveform is volume. So the height of this waveform will tell you the tidal volume, which is the amount of gas, amount of volume that is being pushed into the lungs. So now zooming out, you have a general idea of what these waveforms tell and what it signifies. Now let's take a closer inspection to individual details. Going back to the pressure waveform, peak pressure will tell you the pressure due to the sum of airway pressure and alveolar pressure. You can see it's the total of this peak pressure and the alveolar pressure. When P peak is high, think of airway narrowing, or bronchospasm because it is the total of both. So you have to dig into the cause of the increased peak and work from there. So for us to properly distinguish whether the problem is a compliance issue or airway issue, we have to analyze the graph further, analyze the waveform further. Let's see whether it is airway pressure which is increased, suggesting of airway resistance, or whether it is plateau pressure that is increased, suggesting problems with compliance. So remember, P peak or peak pressure does not tell you specifically which is the problem. We have to find out further the cause of the increase in peak. So airway pressure. This airway pressure is due to resistance of the airways. So it is only present when flow is there, when the ventilator is blowing gases into the lungs. All right. So it goes through the ETT, the tubing, the airways. So the resistance that is occurring along the way to reach the lung is the airway resistance. So when there is no flow, the resistance automatically drops to zero. And it can be estimated by minusing the peak pressure against alveolar pressure. Also important to note that airway pressure is considered significant if it's more than 6. Plateau pressure, written as P plat, is the pressure in the lungs by extension the circuit when the breath is held. It is the result of insufflation of the lungs. It is unrelated to flow, so to get plateau pressure, inspiratory hold maneuver has to be done. So when plateau pressure increases, it means the lung needs greater pressure in order for it to expand. So we can think of things that increases that reduces the compliance of the lung, which can be edema or consolidation or fibrosis or ARDS, things that reduces the compliance of the lungs. And finally, PEEP. PEEP is positive and expiratory pressure. It is the pressure present during the end of expiratory phase. We set this value, and so when we set this value, we are actively avoiding atelectasis. At the end of expiration, the pressure that is present inside the lungs will avoid the lungs from collapsing onto itself. By introducing PEEP, we are improving the FRC, we are reducing the work of breathing, and we are increasing the compliance of the lungs. Okay, now moving on to the flow waveform. We have number 1, the peak inspiratory flow. It is flow generated in inspiratory phase. It is purely machine related and it is irrelevant diagnostically. Peak expiratory flow tells you a different story because this is not machine related. It is generated by the elastic recoil of the patient's own lungs and chest wall. So if the slope is not as steep as usual, we have to think of the reason why. So it can tell you about airway resistance. So probably there is bronchoconstriction obstructing the flow of gas from our lungs to the ventilator. And lastly, tidal volume. This is the product of flow and time. The longer the time and the longer the flow, the higher the tidal volume that is delivered to the patient. And remember that tidal volume is the volume of air above FRC. Alright, so now I would like to highlight the basic differences between pressure controlled ventilation and volume controlled ventilation. So on your left is a waveform of volume controlled ventilation. What is fixed is the volume in terms of flow, and what's variable will be the pressure. Pressure will change according to the volume that we deliver. So the ventilator delivers the flow until a set volume is reached and then is terminated. So let's start labeling the axis. You have the pressure in centimeters of water, you have flow in liters per minute, and also volume in mils. So remember, what is fixed in volume control is the volume. So how the ventilator gives this volume is by giving flow. So there will be a stable inspiratory flow rate, which can be reflected as a square flow waveform, like such. So when flow is fixed, the variable or the thing that we need to monitor is the pressure. Pressure will change according to the resistance and the compliance of the lungs. So always have to monitor the pressure, the peak pressure, the waveform of pressure. In volume control, you will have this sloping pressure waveform because flow is delivered constantly. Pressure is the one that will be slowly accumulating in value. So that is why the pressure waveform will increase slowly as a sloping kind of morphology. This slope that you see here is the inspiratory pause that we can intentionally set in our ventilation. And the thing about volume control ventilation, it will have a lower mean airway pressure. Also, I need to highlight that you need to notice that the pressure waveform, the size of the waveforms that I drew is intentionally different. This is to amplify that we need to monitor the pressure, which can increase and decrease according to the changes in the lungs. Meanwhile, the flow will always be constant because of volume control ventilation that we use. And the thing about tidal volume in volume control ventilation, volume is set. Therefore, the tidal volume remains unchanged regardless of lung compliance and the pressure. So pressure will rise, pressure will fall, the tidal volume will be guaranteed to obtain. Next, we're going to talk about pressure control waveform. So what is fixed in pressure control ventilation is the pressure. And what varies, the thing that we need to monitor, is the tidal volume. Okay, so since the fixed value in pressure control is pressure, so you have a constant pressure in every breath. So you have a controlled peak inspiratory airway pressure. So in pressure control, the pressure waveform will have a square waveform. Of course, in ventilation, we will introduce PEEP. So when PEEP is applied, the baseline will not be 0, but will be the whatever amount of PEEP that we put in our ventilation setting. So what determines the tidal volume? It is the difference in pressure between the control peak inspiratory airway pressure and PEEP. So this difference will determine the tidal volume that the patient will get. Also, in general, pressure control ventilation has a higher mean airway pressure as compared to volume control. So arguably, this should help in oxygenation in patients' lungs. Okay, then for flow waveform in pressure control ventilation, you will have this high initial flow rate. This is to achieve the set pressure in the minimum amount of time required. So that is why you have this gush of flow of air to quickly meet the pressure demand. So once the pressure is reached, the flow will continue in a receding flow pattern. This is only to maintain pressure. So that is why you have this downgoing slope of flow. And important to remember that in pressure control ventilation, tidal volume is a variable. So tidal volume will varies according to lung compliance, airway resistance. So always monitor the tidal volume when we are administering pressure control ventilation to patient. As you can see, I've amplified the difference of height in the tidal volume to show that the tidal volume can change anytime during the pressure control. So it's important for us to always monitor the tidal volume.
Thank you for watching. If you find these videos helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button to show your support. Comment down below what topic you want us to cover next. Till next time, see you in the next video.